Hey, folks out there in Facebook land, I'm going to hold on just for a second so some people maybe can join us. This is a big night, exciting night. You know, I've been watching the election results, and of course I'm here on Fox, always on Fox News. Sean Hannity, greatest guy ever. So sitting here watching the results of that election in Georgia because, you know, all the liberals, all the far left radicals, all the Antifa, all of those people said this is a referendum on the Trump administration. This election is so important. This is going to show the world that Americans hate Donald Trump. We're going to win this election by a landslide. And so what did they do? They sunk $50 million, okay? And they thought, you know, as in everything else they do, they misthought, they misread the people, because the people always come through. The people, the fine people of Georgia, were not fooled by all that money. The fine people of Georgia stood up and went to the polls, and they voted for the right person. They didn't vote for that because they were smart enough to know and look at what was happening. All that money that was coming into this race wasn't coming from Georgia citizens. No, it was coming from those people that tried to get Hillary in our White House. Those people in California, those people in New York who think that because they like someone that the rest of us in the country are supposed to pick their person too. Well, we showed them otherwise. Really excited about the people of Georgia stepping up and doing the right thing in this case. And you know what? Karen Handel's going to do a great job because she lives in the district. You know, whereas the folks in California and New York thought that the people in Georgia were so stupid that they would elect someone who didn't even live in their district, who couldn't even vote for himself in the race because he didn't live in the district. And people of Georgia were smart enough to know that all that money that was coming in to get what's his name, Ossoff, elected, that when he was in that position, he would be serving the interest of the people who elected him, not the interest of the people in Georgia. So this is an exciting night. I've been biting my fingernails for a while because, you know, I'm sure there were a lot of dead people who voted in that election for the other side. And, you know, if you look at the early voting numbers, I was afraid. Just like I was afraid on election night for Donald Trump. But I'm so excited, and a big hats off to Bikers for Trump and Chris Cox, because it was the Bikers for Trump that were called in at the last minute, the last few days. They hauled in, knocked on doors, you know, trying to pull those last few thousand people who might not show up at the polls today. That's why they rushed me to Georgia too. Those of you who kind of watch my page know that at the last minute Thursday, with no prior announcement, suddenly I was going to Georgia. That's why. I was called and they said, we need you here. It's an emergency. You got to come. They got me a ticket, flew me out, did a speech, rallied with the bikers to try to get people out to vote and try to make people of Georgia understand, if they didn't already, how important it was for those couch sitters to get off their couches and go and vote. Because one of the biggest problems we've seen in America since Trump was elected is that we get comfortable in our position saying, hey, our guy's in the White House, we're going to be okay. And the truth of the matter is, because he's in the White House and because he's under such an amazing attack by the left, we have to keep fighting. We have to stay in there. There are more Senate seats coming up, more congressional seats. We've got to keep an eye on those folks. You know, we can't let this slip. We have the stronghold right now, and we need to hold on tight to those seats, because our president can't get anything done if we don't have the seats to back him up. So just wanted to say thank you, big thank you to the people of Georgia tonight for getting out there and voting for Karen Handel. And, you know, man, a big thanks to Bikers for Trump and Chris Cox. Thanks for pulling me in at the last minute. I enjoyed every minute of it. And I know those guys worked hard. They were knocking on doors. You know, can you imagine a bunch of bikers pulling into your neighborhood, you know, in an early morning, the day or two before elections, and knocking on your door, and they're in leather vests and tatted all up, and you know, and they want you to come to the door so they can talk to you about who you should vote for. But they did it, and people opened their doors, and I really appreciate that. And I know beyond a doubt that did have an impact here. So anyway, just wanted to say thanks to Chris Cox and all those guys for doing that, and thanks for pulling me in at the last minute. I enjoyed being there as well, and doing what little I could to help out. So congratulations to Karen Handel. I know it's not over yet, but it is. We got this, folks. Thank you, Georgia. And, you know, let's stay in touch, folks. I'll be watching the numbers as they come on in, and let's go ahead and win this by a even larger margin.